We will reconvene into open session. And we will start with, we do not have our Taking Positive Steps Service Board tonight. We do not have presentation. We do not have public input. It is July, you can tell. But we do have our consent agenda. So we have our minutes, and then we have our vouchers. We do have 3 fundraiser requests. We have our middle school book vending machine, our cookie dough sales and donations for the volleyball team, and the boys basketball club golf tournament fundraiser. We do not have any fundraiser reports, and we do not have any field trip requests. We have a committee recommendation for approval from our curriculum committee. We have, under other, we have our spring sports summary, our high school discipline report, a request for student data, Midwest Scholastic, request for student data, Empire Photography, impartial hearing officer, Wednesday night activities request, distance learning MOU from Thailand, our student exchange MOU from Thailand, and our study tour MOU with Thailand. And under resignations and retirements, we do not have any retirements. And under resignations, we have a 7th grade language arts, math, and support teacher, middle school PBIS teacher or coach, sophomore class advisor, assistant forensics coach, elementary school special education assistant, and assistant basketball coach. Under co-curricular, we have primary school hiking assistant. We have 10 district department chairs. We have 21 coordinator department heads. We have 7 first-year mentors, 12 second-year mentors. We have a volunteer football coach, and we have a JV boys soccer coach. Under crew, we have WSI instructor and lead lifeguard, and then we have a crew volunteer. Under regular staff, we have a primary school educational assistant, middle school special education assistant level 2, physical therapist contract with MJ Care Agency, 7th grade language arts, math, and resource teacher, and OSC educational assistant. And under personnel, we have 1 leave without pay request.
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by Sarah Ramish, second by Sarah Ripp. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right, we are going to, all right, we do not have our administrators here, but we do have LCAT report. Would anybody
It's there.
like to go over that?
See.
Or do you want
I'll
to
read it.
continue to hear my voice?
I'll read it. The Summer Safety Fair.
Yeah.
The Summer Safety Fair had great attendance from parents and community members. Students learned important topics including power line safety, fire safety, water safety, school bus safety. Parents and guardians received information about car seat and booster seat laws, as well as tips on sunscreen safety. Thank you to everyone who attended and supported this event. So coming up, LCAT, oh, sorry, that's not coming up, that was last month. Earlier this month, LCAT held the Youth Risk Behavior Survey Summit on July 8th at Reach Out Lodi. School administrators, school board members, local emergency services, local business leaders, and parents reviewed and discussed the 2023 Youth Risk Behavior Survey. Topics such as mental health trends, marijuana use, nicotine use, and alcohol use among our middle and high school students were discussed. The attendees created possible recommendations. Thank you to Reach Out Lodi for letting us use their space for this event.
That was very informative.
It was good.
It's very
I was
interesting
sad I
stuff.
missed it.
Yeah.
It was also nice to have time to try to come up with some sort of plan,
Yeah.
and then
Mhm.
having all those perspectives
Mhm.
on those plans was the best part,
Mhm.
Yeah.
instead of just small group. Here's coming up. So the 3rd annual Duck the Wall with Art Show is this Friday, is Friday, August 1st, not this Friday, Friday, August 1st, from 4 to 7 in Gores Park on Fair Street in Lodi. This year, it is held in conjunction with Chalk the Walk, which is sponsored by Reach Out Lodi. Duck the Wall with Art Show is an event where students aged 5 through 19-year-old who reside and attend the school district of Lodi can show and sell their art. We are looking for more students to participate. Students can sign up by using a QR code on the flyer. Flyer is located on the district website in the Our Families tab under Flyers. Also coming up is National Night Out, which is Tuesday, August 5th from 5 to 7:30 p.m. LCAT is always looking for new vendors that are youth-focused and family-friendly. LCAT is excited to announce several new vendors who will be participating this year. This year, we have added the Lodi Youth Wrestling Club, Kinship Mentoring of Columbia County, Cub Scout Pack 368, Lodi Girl Scouts, and Aspiris Divine Savior Health. Please join us for the family fun event. The LCAT trailer is featured in the Susie the Duck Parade on Saturday, August 9th, 2025. This is an example of how LCAT is increasing the visibility of its organization to reach more community members. The LCAT team will be accompanied by the high school leadership group. The LCAT team will be accompanying the high school leadership group on their annual leadership retreat, which will occur on August 4th. Brian and Sarah will conduct a focus group with the students, examining their perception of how adults in the community interact with them. The goal is to start a community campaign this fall based on the information we received from several different focus groups of students. Next LCAT meeting takes place on August 20th in this room in the district office. We hope you can attend. All are welcome. We'll be reviewing the outcome of our summer events.
Awesome, thanks, Adam.
Yep.
And like I said, we do not have our administrators here, so we don't have any reports this time, but we do have our district administrator report.
Yeah, there are a couple things I want to mention. They're a little lengthy, so I apologize for that. But the state budget was signed on July 3rd. There are two main outcomes I want to talk to the board about. One is there was some increase in special education reimbursement from 30 to 42%. However, this is a some certain amount, meaning that they put a certain amount aside, and it depends how much you apply for. So typically when that happens, it's not quite 42%, probably looking more towards 39%, 40%. And so if about 39% would mean about a $360,000 increase for the district. Remember, we transferred $3 million in special education costs. Does it help? Yes.
Yeah.
It's a drop, though. I mean, the DPI asked for 90%, the governor asked for 60%. They came back to 42%. So that's what's going on with special ed. Second is there's a $325 per pupil increase. If you remember, the governor line item vetoed that. That got fought to the state Supreme Court, which upheld that line item veto. So there's $325 per pupil. And we based our budget projections on an additional $325 per pupil, which is approximately $472,000. Even with that increase, we have a deficit budget going into next year, which was predicted as part of our operating referendum. But even though the state did include a $325 increase per pupil funding, the money will mostly be coming from the taxpayers in the school district of Lodi. The majority of funds that the school district of Lodi comes from our taxpayers, and we consider a property-rich district. This will mean significant increase in school taxes for our community members, not due to anything that was done here, just based on what the state did. And I shared a video, I'll share a video in the board's summary of the homeowners, Wisconsin Homeowners Alliance did a commercial during the end, towards the end of the budget, talking about what would happen if the state didn't fund schools, that it was going to hit property taxpayers, and that's exactly what's happening. And want to make sure that that is shared out, that it wasn't something that happened around this table, it's something that happened at state level. Federal funding, we were notified by the Department of Public Instruction that the federal government will be withholding $72 million from the state, which could impact the school district of Lodi next year. It won't impact us this year, but it could impact about $35,500 funding for our district next year, so depending on what the outcome of that is. Really the summary of all those things is face the combination of the federal decisions and the result of the state budget sends a clear message. The responsibility to adequately fund our public schools is going to be left entirely, almost entirely on the taxpayers. Taxpayers in Lodi will really feel the impact of the decisions made at the state and federal level. Even with a $4 million surplus of taxpayer money, the state government decided to require taxpayers to pay more. So when you, and I just want to, again, want to go back to this one more time. When you hear our policymakers say that they are making historical investments in K-12 education, remember if they add $1, that's a historical investment because it's more than what was added last year. When they say they added $1.4 billion to K-12 education, that's also semantics that I would not consider accurate. They added $504 million towards special education reimbursement, which again, as I said, is not the level it needs to be. The remaining money of the $1.4 billion is not coming from the state, not a state investment. The remaining $900 million is coming directly from the property taxpayer. In a district like Lodi, that will significantly increase the property taxes. Again, not through the decisions that we made, but through the decisions that were made there. So I can beat that dead horse a couple more times, and I'm gonna have to. So one of the things that's gonna have to happen is we're gonna have to go out to our communities and let them know that this happened, right? Prior to them getting top property tax bills
Yeah.
in later in the year, because that, they're not gonna lay that on the state. And really, politically what happened is, right, the governor did that 325
For people.
line item veto, and there's a political game going on. The Republicans are trying to hang that around his neck as an increase in property taxes, even though they're making that choice as well. So it's just a political piece. So,
That was like that 200 years or 400 years?
400 years, yeah. supposedly. On a happier note, the Board of Education sent me to Thailand to sign a memorandum of understanding for 3 programs, which we approved in consent agenda with Sangwang School. The Student Exchange, which allows a 3-week cultural exchange of students each year. 1 year, students from Thailand come to Lodi. The following year, our students go to Thailand. The second one is a distance education MOU, allows students in Lodi to take classes on culture, geography of Southeast Asia, taught by a teacher in Thailand. And then students in Thailand take a U.S. history course taught by a teacher here in the United States. And then the study tour MOU allows students from Thailand to come every other year to take classes in STEAM, physical education, and public speaking. This from the Lodi side, it allows up to 4 teachers or alumni to travel to Thailand at their own cost to serve as teaching assistants and be put up in Thailand. So when I was in Thailand, there was 4 students, 2 graduates from the class of 2025 and 2 graduates from the class of 2024, who were over there serving as teaching assistants and living in Thailand for like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
What a great experience for them. So,
Awesome.
all right. Thank you.
Thanks, Vince. All right, the president report. I don't know about you, but summer is flying by. I hope everyone is getting all of their plans in before it's over. I also hope that everyone was able to enjoy the Lodi Fair this past weekend. It's obviously not a school event, but such a major community event that involves so many of our students, families, teachers, and staff. I would personally like to thank each and every person that makes the Lodi Ag Fair possible. It's such an inspiring and beautiful thing to see our community getting together to carry on this wonderful tradition. Not only does it give our alumni a great opportunity to see each other, it gives a lot of our students a chance to show off their talents. It gives our local organizations opportunities to raise money for their cause. It brings in traffic for our local businesses, and it's just plain fun to attend. I'm sure others agree with me, and we can't express our gratitude enough for everyone responsible for making the Lodi Fair possible. Another community event that is going on, not nearly as exciting as the fair, but it is a close second. Our district's strategic plan refresh is happening now till the end of July. We might not be able to supply 4 fun-filled days like our fair does, but we do need community involvement. We really need everyone's input, not just our school families, everyone. Your voice is going to lead the direction of our district. Our strategic plan is what guides the board's decisions, our school curriculums, opportunities that our district offers for our kids, literally everything that has to do with our school district. And the best part is that guidance is decided by our community, not the board, not the administrators, not the teachers. It's all based on the voices of our community. So please let your voice be heard. Contact the school for an interview, or take the 3 to 5 minute survey, or come to one of the Ideas Fairs on July 22nd or 31st. We would be so appreciative and grateful for your time. With all this talk of community involvement, it's a great reminder to all of us how important community involvement is. Involvement can mean so many different things, big and little. Staying up to date on things that affect our community, volunteering your time, effort, and/or money, providing services, or running a local business, the list is endless. Simply staying involved is a key to what Lodi is all about. Everyone is busy and in different stages of their life, so do what you can and when you can, if possible. I loved to volunteer when my children were younger, but as life got busier, I couldn't always do as much as I wanted. And because of that, I was more aware and appreciative of others who could. And it also made me appreciative of all the other roles of our community members that make the world go round. Being involved, no matter how it looks, is a beautiful cycle and something that can help your mental health, help you connect with others, and great for our souls. And that, my friends, is just another reason why Lodi is such a great community to live in. All right, yes, and now we have our applied population study.
Yeah, so as the district begins the planning stages for the next referendum, the board will need to use updated data to make fiscal projections. One of the most important pieces of information in the process is an enrollment projection. The district contracted with Applied Populations Laboratory to conduct an enrollment study. Sarah Kemp from APL is here tonight to present the findings of the study. The study has 4 different projection models, and the board will be asked to select the one they feel makes the most sense for the district to use in making future fiscal projections. So I will turn this over to Sarah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so let me get started. We will be kind of walking through the report. I'll be highlighting, and it's up to you if you want to do questions as we go, or I can take questions at the end. Figure we're a small enough group. If you want to, I'm happy to entertain questions while we go through it. So what the report provides is I provided projections in 2020. So we're going to look at how those previous projections compare to what your actual enrollment have been for the last couple of years. I'll explain the background, the information that's needed, the data that's needed to inform the projections. I'll go through that. I'll explain the methodology and the different models that are provided in the report, and then we'll look at the actual projections and what you might expect going forward in the number of students in each of the grade groupings. So if we look at that comparison, I was here in June of 2021, and we look at those actual enrollments. The projections were showing some growth, and the actuals actually declined slightly. So we didn't see the growth that the projections over-projected slightly. The baseline model was the most accurate at the current, or this past school year. We're looking at about an additional, it was, about 50 students over what your actual ended up being this last school year. So just kind of keep that in mind when we look going forward, but I think things have really shifted a lot, so I don't know if what happened in the past is really a good indication, with those projections. I think you can kind of start afresh now with these new projections. So we're going to look at the enrollment change and how the enrollment has been changing. We look at kindergarten because that's informing future students, so we want to see if that's declining or growing. We look at the births for the 4 municipalities that are within the district and how that's been changing over the last 18 years. And then just some general information that's related to your population and your housing.
Sarah, can I jump in? So
Yeah.
you talked it's the 4 municipalities that are entirely within our district.
Right, the 4 major ones.
Yeah.
Yes, the
So
four
they can't
major,
do-
the
yeah.
4 major ones. So the city and
Yeah.
town, and then the village and town,
Yeah.
Dane, Lodi, yeah. And so this is showing you both the 4K to 12 enrollment, and then if you take out the 4K, that blue line is just 5K to 12. So over the window of the last decade, you've seen almost about a 2.5% decrease for the entire district. If you take those 4K out, the decline has been even greater at 5% over the last 10 years. So you kind of saw a little bit of an increase, and then, like I said, the last couple of years you saw a slight decline. If we look at it by grade grouping, we see the primary grades are the one place where you've seen a growth of 8% over this time period. If we look at the elementary school, that's the bottom, the gray, there was a slight decline of 1%. We look at middle school, that's the orange, you saw about a 2.5% decrease in middle school. And where you've seen the most decline is in high school of 11%. But percentages too, your numbers are a little smaller, so, keep that in mind too when you look at those percentages.
I honestly was not surprised with that one with
The
the high school, just because I had kids in 16 and 18.
Yeah.
those were the, some of the biggest classes that have come through.
That have come through.
And we knew that that was gonna kind of drop down.
Right, that's the nice thing about these projections in terms of the later grades, they're more reliable than the
Right.
younger grades, and you know that is coming.
But still, I mean.
And
for
not
some places,
not unusual either for the, if you look at the state as a whole and different districts around the state, this is very common phenomenon for many districts. I throw in the open enrollment history for you. I don't think it was in the previous report. I included that information in for you to see. These are the third Friday counts, so these open enrollment numbers in and out, those that what your net is included in these projections. And if we look at what's happened with your open enrollment, you have seen a net increase, right, over the last 7 years. You've seen more students open enroll in than open enroll out, which is a good sign. If we look at kindergarten enrollment, then we look at two different trends, a 10-year trend and a 5-year trend. That red line is showing, a 9-year trend. And you see that there's a slight decrease. If you look at the last 4 years, you've seen more of a drop in enrollment in kindergarten. And later on, you'll see a model that looks at the kindergarten trend, and I'll be using that long-term trend to project future kindergartners. And we'll look at that later in the report. But so something's happened in the last 4 years, and there has been a decline. However, if we look at the births are actually increasing, both the long term of 18 years and short term, the last 9 years. Obviously, you're always, especially when you're talking about a smaller population, you see a lot of that variation from year to year. But if we look at the general trend, we're looking at about a one, if you think about it, like adding about one, with the long-term trend, about one additional birth every year. And with the recent trend, you're gonna add another, in that case, every 2 year, additional 2 students per year. Or births, sorry, not students, but births. So births are increasing. As I mentioned, there's also just some general population and housing data in here. They don't really inform any of the projections. It's just additional information for you to get a sense of what's going on in your community. This data is getting a little bit old because we're comparing the 2010 census to the 2020 census, and it's now 2025. But it gives you some idea of what was happening in that decade. And a reason why maybe you've seen a little bit of a decrease in the last couple of years. So ages 0 to 14 have been declining. There was a 12% drop in the number of children aged 0 to 14. This is the population of the school district. So this is census data at the school district level. If we look at ages 15 to 24, relatively unchanged. If we look at that young adult population, we saw a slight decline of about 2%. And then opposite has happened with the middle-aged population, 45 to 64, a slight increase of about 2.5%. And then where you've seen the most increase is 65 and older. Again, not uncommon in many parts of the state and the country, where you've seen an increase of 37% increase in that older population. And if we look then at you do have a table to show you the 4 different municipalities and how many housing starts there's been from year to year over the last 10 years. This pie chart is just adding those together and giving you a total over this 10-year period from 2014 to 2023. And the most number of homes, the largest percentage is in the city of Lodi at almost 40%. That's where you've seen the most development of homes, followed by the town of Lodi at 37%, and then you can see Dane and Dane Village and town. The other table at the bottom here is just giving you, again, some census data that looks at occupied housing or households, and your numbers have remained relatively similar. They've increased in terms of the number of units as homes have been built, but the proportion of renters to homeowners are similar. But the one thing I like to point out here is that you have seen a decrease in the number of households with children. So even if you've had housing development and new homes and new people have moved into your district, that doesn't necessarily translate into more children coming in, because there has been a slight decrease from 2010 to 2020 of 118 households. Fewer children in those households. Okay, so that's the sort of the background information that we use to inform the projections. Now I'm going to explain the methodology that's used, and we'll look at the four models that are provided. So what we call the grade progression ratio, or it's sometimes called the cohort survival method. So we're looking at how students are progressing from grade to grade. So we take each grade pair and we calculate out each of those ratios, and then I give you three different averages: a 10-year or the baseline average, the 5-year, and the 3-year. And these average ratios determine future students. So if we look at that baseline, I've circled an example there of a ratio of 1.011. So if we take the first graders from this past school year, we multiply it by that ratio, and then that will give us the number of second graders that you'll have coming up this fall. So if we look then just graphically at this, you can see that the majority of your ratios are above 1. Which indicates that you're seeing growth from grade to grade. So students, in most cases, a little bit of a drop in the middle school time period. Some of those ratios have dropped below 1, where you've lost students from one grade to the next. But on average, fairly high ratios going forward in both the baseline 5-year and the 3-year ratios. I also then do the 4K grade progression ratio, sort of take that out of separate this out in a separate table for you to see how the 4K those averages have been for you the last 10 years. You see anywhere between 75 to 90% of the births that occur in the district do enter 4-year-old kindergarten. You see those ratios, the 4K to 5K are just there for you for information. They aren't used in any of the models. But if you look at the last 4 years, you've really had a bump up. I'm assuming you've had more of a drive to encourage people to your system. It's more of a programming thing that these numbers have changed, I'm guessing. Over the last 4 years. So the ratios look a little, high, big numbers at the beginning when you had only like 40 4-year-old kindergartners, and then you had much larger 5-year-old. But now the last couple of years, those have evened out a little bit more or more similar, and going from you have mostly 4K moving to 5K. We're going to use I use the 10-year grade progression ratios for the 4K projections for both the baseline and the kindergarten trend, and then the 5-year grade progression ratios to determine the 5-year and 3-year trends for that 4K projection numbers. So let me explain a little bit about the 4 models that are provided, so you know how they're the data that's used to project future students based on the baseline would be those 10-year grade progression ratios would be used to project future students, and then that long-term trend of births, which was increasing. And then the 5-year and the 3-year use those grade progression ratios for the grades 1 through 12, and the recent birth trends to project future kindergartners. And if you remember, that was also increasing and even increasing more than the baseline. And then the kindergarten trend uses those 5-year grade progression ratios for grades 1 through 12. And then the long-term trend is used to project future kindergartners. Again, remember that was declining slightly. So those are the 4 models provided. And we'll just talk about how each of these gray groupings will look for the next 10 years. So this first chart is showing you, graph is showing you the 4K to 12, all of the entire district, so you can see where you were this past fall. The kindergarten trend is showing a slight decline, whereas the other 3 models are showing a greater increase. Anywhere in the next 5 years, we're looking at, depending on which model you look at, anywhere between losing 60 students to gaining as many as 44 students. So depending on, I kind of like to look, so that would be the 29-30 school year. So it is smart that you do this every 3 to 5 years, because these numbers from our enrollment projections are much more accurate than the further out you go. You can see how they spread out. They're not as accurate because you're projecting future kindergartners on projected births instead of actual births. So we look at the primary school. This is where you see more of a divergence in the models, again, because of that issue, because you're looking at births and kindergartners, and that it's the strongest effect here with these models. So you see a slight decline, or about the same number of students for primary school next year, but then they diverge, and with those 3 models that are using birth trends, you're seeing a growth, especially in the next couple of years, and then kind of a leveling off. And in 5 years, you're looking at anywhere between, let me give you the numbers on those, either losing as many 17 students with the kindergarten trend, but with the other models, you could gain as many as 53 more students in the primary school. And then if we look at the elementary school, we see a slight decline in the next couple of years, but then again, as those births increase, and the students progress from primary to elementary, you're gonna see an increase probably in the long term. And with the elementary losing anywhere between 12 students to gaining as many as 19 students in 5 years. And then if we look at middle school, you're seeing a continued decline, though very slight, probably only losing anywhere between 5 to 8 students. So pretty steady enrollment for middle school with a slight decline in the next 5 years. And then a continued decline anywhere between 16 and 35 students in 5 years of the high school. So I'll just conclude. I won't read all the numbers to you. We can certainly have a discussion about any of them that you'd like. But in general, just to summarize what I envision with these projections, that you will see more than likely more of an increase than a decrease. I think that kindergarten trend, because you've been seeing a slight decline in kindergartners, but with the births increasing, I think the birth models are probably would be more of a benefit for you to look at those models instead. I wanted to provide the kindergarten trend just because I did in the last report. I didn't want to take it out, but I don't hold a lot of confidence in that kindergarten trend. So I would assume that you would probably see, slight increases with a little bit of decrease in some in the higher grades going forward.
So isn't there, I think I've read and heard, on the news that not just nationwide, but worldwide, births are on a decline and have been, which is concerning for people middle age So is
That is
that
true.
trend still
It is,
happening? I
it-
mean,
it-
so then.
it is. So you're kind of in a different, you're in a more unique situation than most districts aren't seeing births increase. Again, I don't know if that's, maybe it is partially due to, the new homes. Maybe, or just people have moved to a different location and younger families are moving in, because those ratios are higher too. So not only are you seeing births, but you're also seeing ratios that are above 1. So there is some growth, I think, occurring here. Small, but, some growth. Not huge numbers, but.
I wondered, where, like, how our district compares to some other communities, or do you have information like you could share about that?
Yeah, I can speak somewhat we do a lot of the Dane County districts, like a Middleton and a Sun Prairie. Haven't done Wanakee in many years, but I did in the past, quite a while ago, did Wanakee. The county, as you know, has just been growing, and it hasn't shown any sign of stopping. But I think the districts vary depending. So like a place like Sun Prairie, where there's been a lot of growth, a lot of development, they continue to grow, though they've been slowing a little bit, but they're growing. A Middleton, Cross Plains, that's more landlocked, not as much growth occurring. They're actually holding kind of steady or declining a little bit. So it kind of just depends on the area and what's happening. So I think you're kind of in the middle of that, as far as what I can see here. Again, small numbers, but a general trend of growth.
So in the past, in 2021, we looked at 3 of the 4 models predicted some growth. The baseline model predicted a decreasing enrollment. So the board adopted a 5-year trend model, which was the most conservative growth model that we used for the referendum. Currently, 3 of the 4 models show some modest growth over the next 10 years. Again, the 3-year trend model shows the most conservative growth model, showing some limited growth for the next 5 years, but then some more growth after that. I would recommend that's the one we choose. I think we choose the most conservative model to base it on. As I think Sarah talked about, the kindergarten one's not quite as accurate because you're basing it on kids who haven't been born yet,
Yeah.
right?
Right, and it's based on the kindergarten trend that's been occurring here in the district, and the numbers have been going down a little bit. So
what we're looking for from an administration perspective is just the board to make a decision on what model we want to use to start basing Baird's projections off of as we start up with this next one.
I mean, that probably makes sense to me.
That makes
Right
sense.
in the middle.
There makes sense to
But
me.
but it's not in the middle, because the yellow line is based on kids that aren't born.
Right.
It's
That's
just
true.
guessing there.
So we're
Right.
just kind of going with, like you're saying, the more conservative, just so we know.
Definitely go with the more conservative,
Yeah.
because, yes. And what you even said, Sarah, was we are going to see some growth probably, and the growth that we will see will be small. So even if we see growth, it's not very much growth, right?
right,
And
right.
From births.
Yeah.
We could do some
Yeah.
sort of wonderful thing to try to get more people coming into the district, that's a whole different thing, right? Kids transferring in, new houses coming in, but from actual births and
Births.
stuff, it's a slight, small increase.
Right. Yeah.
This was last done in 2021,
Yeah.
so looking back, and I'm trying to figure it out, but looking back at 2021, when the district adopted a plan, and now knowing between 2021 and where we're at now, which plan actually predicted that was the most accurate to what actually happened?
So with those, what happened was the baseline was actually the most accurate because it was the least, it was the lowest of the three. Again, of the three births, of the three.
At that time?
At that time,
At that
at
time.
that time, which, yeah, and so things looked different back then, and I can't recall now what I saw with the kindergarten and births there, but, you know, there was still indication that you had increasing births back then, but, so you ended up not seeing, a whole lot of, you just only saw a slight growth. So I think the baseline was the most accurate, and it was off by 50 students.
I'm not sure
This
I
past-
understand what you mean by
It's on
baseline,
the
other
first
than
slide. You're
seeing
on the
it
slide,
in the
isn't it?
Yeah,
first
do you-
slide.
Yeah.
Because you don't, in all these other slides moving forward, there's no quote baseline.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, the baseline is the gray line. So the baseline is the 10-year trend. So, this is showing your actual, which are the black line, and then you've got the projections that were done, starting from the 21 school year. And the gray is the lowest, the one that comes to the closest to that, and that's the baseline model. However, I think things were different then than they are now, and so now they've flipped.
Okay,
And-
so
and now the
fast forward
base-
to some of those later slides in
Yep.
the presentation, we're talking about 3 and 5, where's
So,
the baseline there?
The baseline's
Yeah.
way up.
yeah, here, I'll go to the one that's, so the baseline's still, now they flipped, and I think.
It's behind the-
It's
It-
behind the
It's,
blue.
it's hard to,
Behind the
yeah,
blue,
yeah, it's right,
closer.
it's right above the blue, right here, the
And then
gray.
it merges with the blue,
And then it merges at
which
the
is
end
the
here.
5-year
But,
trend.
so if we look in 5 years, baseline, 5-year, 3-year,
And last time, Vince, we did.
The 5-year.
yeah.
But the 5-year probably followed the track of where the 3 years now. It was the least conservative growth model. It showed a little bit of growth, but it was conservative,
Okay.
right?
And what's the reasoning, I don't wanna be Miss Doom and Gloom here either, but with the kindergarten trend? Cause I mean, that's a significant difference from even the 3-year.
Right, so I can't say what could be going on with your kindergarten enrollments, because the births were showing some increase, I think they were I think if I remember right, that both the kindergarten and births were kind of increasing last time. Now your kindergartners have not been increasing, along with your births. There's not a similar trend happening. There's something going on. I don't know if people are moving, you know, they have their child here and then they move to a different district, or are they out open enrolling out, or are they going to private schools? There's no way of knowing that without some sort of survey of your residents. So, but something might be happening with those kindergarten numbers the last couple of years, especially
When did,
Vince, we are doing that survey.
We are, in talking to the Donovan Group, we're gonna wait till the start of the school year.
Right, but we are.
But we are gonna do an open enrollment survey, yes.
yeah.
um,
You really saw a dip in 23, which also throws off this,
was that
4
sort of-
years.
I just wonder if some of that isn't from the whole COVID thing and then with,
It's really past the COVID thing. It's
well,
like
but with
increase.
people being able to, I guess in the older grades, do online schooling, I don't know.
The numbers went up after COVID. That's not on this.
This is
Well,
kindergarten,
that's
this is just
kindergarten.
kindergarten,
This
is-
this is
that's
just
kindergarten.
kindergarten I have up right here.
That's also not open enrollment, right? Open enrollment's different.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are just your enrollment for
I
your
think
third Friday.
As much as some people were upset with what LODA did during COVID, they were more upset with what other people did during COVID, other school districts. And so they said, I'm not doing that, I'm going to LODA instead. And so we gained
now the concern is, from what I remember with the in and out, is that it's gonna, it was,
And now it's
right, and
slow.
now it's gonna cross again,
Maybe.
potentially,
Or
potentially.
remain the same.
Or,
Or go
yeah.
back up. There's
Yeah.
no way to get.
Right.
without-
And these are all grades,
Yeah. I mean, cause
just the total.
looking at it, it looks like it could cross again, just based on that right there, but it might not.
The trend is to come closer.
Right.
So since I wasn't here when you guys did the referendum last time, I'm wondering, how do you use this data specifically to, create the plan and develop the?
The size of your
Yeah.
operating.
Yeah, so the major driving factor, one of the major driving factors in the school funding formula is enrollment.
Mhm.
So having a projection of enrollment helps us project what that budget will be
Okay.
and how the school funding formula will work moving forward. So we will use that to look at what the future deficits are going to be, projected on the budget. And just like
Mhm.
here, right, the closer you are,
Yeah.
the more accurate you are, the farther you get away, the more difficult it is, but we need to start somewhere.
Yep, yeah,
And,
makes sense.
versus us just making a random guess, we're
Mhm.
gonna have somebody study it and look at it and then come up with
Yeah.
an educated, projection.
Yep, thank you.
Well, in these models, it looks like the 3-year is more conservative for the younger kids. And then they get, for the middle school and high school, they get very, very close. So if the idea is more conservative, didn't you say, Vince, that your thought was the 3-year would be the
Yeah,
most
because
appropriate?
we're looking at really the next 5 years, right? So if you look at a lot of these models too, like they start to spike up after 5 years. As we get out 5 or 6 or 7 years, we're looking at the next 5,
Mhm.
is really what we're basing projections on.
So the 3-year makes perfect sense to me unless somebody
Mhm.
has another
Same.
thought why it doesn't to them.
No, I agree, yeah, we don't wanna go.
I will make a motion to accept the 3-year trend projection model to use as a basis for developing a Baird model for the next operating referendum.
I'll second that. Motion by Sarah Rich, second by Sarah Wood. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you,
Sarah.
because when I was reading that, I read it a couple times, went through it.
Yeah.
Thank you for explaining
Yes.
all of that. It made it so much easier to digest.
There was something that was confusing to me. Do you have a typo on one of your numbers in the very beginning of the presentation? Or am I not understanding that correctly? It looked like you had 19 something, and I thought it was right around 1,500. Maybe your first one.
1495, 1454,
No, that's not.
not that one?
Which one?
I'll look. If it is, I'll double,
Slide 3.
Three?
Where actual says 1942, but it's right at 1,500 mark.
oh, yes. Okay, I can fix that.
I'm guessing that's 1492, and then
Yeah.
actual's
Yep,
1454.
yep. Yeah, I can fix
Yeah,
that
probably.
before you put it on your website.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks for catching it.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Well, thank you again. We
Thanks,
really
Sarah, so
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank
you.
Appreciate it.
All right, moving on to our, I get the camera back, yay. Moving on to our collective commitments.
Yeah, as the board obviously remembers, the summer of fall 2024, you worked with a 3-part professional development series with Drew Horwick. One of the items that came from that work was a review of our established collective commitments, which represents a pledge to yourself and to other board members. The board members revised and reviewed these collective commitments and approved them in October 2024. And they're obviously on the table at every board meeting. As part of this process, the board committed to reviewing the collective commitments twice annually, once in the summer and once during the board's self-evaluation process in December, January. Therefore, the board needs to review and reaffirm these commitments that the members made to themselves and others. In the past, we've read through the entire document, I don't think that's probably necessary, but, because we just approved these in October. The board doesn't have to take action on this, or the board can take action to reaffirm their commitment to the collective commitments. Or if there's anything they wanna discuss about changing.
I think we did a pretty thorough,
Absolutely, just
Yeah.
review of these.
I will make a motion, I will move to reaffirm our pledge to continue to utilize and hold ourselves accountable to the School District of Lodi Board of Education collective commitments.
No, second.
Motion by Sarah Ramish, second by Adam. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right, we have our daycare contract.
Yes, attached to the daycare contract for TLC Learning Center Daycare. They utilize the primary school for before and after care. I recommend approval of this one-year contract as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the one-year contract with TLC Daycare.
I'll second that.
Motion by Adam, second by Sarah Rip. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And our strategic plan refresh.
Yeah, so, again, help shape the future of the district, so everybody should have, every mailbox in the district received a flyer
Should
like
I
this.
show that on video?
You sure, and pass that down. So it's been 40 years since the school district created our current strategic plan, and now we're refreshing it, we need your help. The board has appointed a committee of community members representing a broad range of district stakeholders. Their charge is to oversee the refresh process. There's 3 ways to get involved. You can choose one of the following 3. They all give you this, the information is all the same. You request an interview, you can take a survey, or you participate in an ideas fair at the Lodi High School, so in-person option, which is July 22nd and July 31st from 6 to 8 p.m., so one of those 2 things. So you can do one of those 3 options. You just visit our district website to take the survey, or there's a QR code on that flyer that came out, or you can see the posters around town, or there's banners hanging up as well, so.
I saw one at the fairgrounds, I
It
see
is.
one every time I'm coming from
Yep.
Lodi, home to Harmony Grove.
Yep.
It's right there on J and V,
And there's one
right
out-
by Loeb's
Yep.
Farm, I don't know if it's Loeb's Farm anymore or who it is, but, yeah.
Yes, we called them and asked if we could go out there. There's also one out by Dane as well.
Nice.
And we'll have a couple others up around town. There's one at the bank for a week.
Yep, I did
as
see that
well.
too.
So
Yeah.
your voice matters, so
Yes.
please
Please,
participate.
please.
Yes,
And we can show up to
Yeah,
those
ideas fair.
open,
Mhm.
yeah.
Nice,
Mhm.
good one.
No, and we really talked through those questions because we didn't want people sitting there doing a survey for 15 minutes.
Right.
But we wanted to leave them kind of open-ended too, so people can definitely,
Nice.
it'd be interesting to see all the answers to it.
Oh,
So, yes, please, people, please, please, please. Oops. Our facility planning process.
Yeah, so School District Lodi formed a community viability team, a group of diverse and dedicated group of community members, students, staff, district leaders committed to the future of the district's school facilities and outdoor spaces, facilitated by the district's planning and engagement consultants, Plunkett Architects, and C.G. Schmidt. The CVT team will engage in structured, data-informed process to elevate current conditions and look at all the different options when it comes to facilities and green space and things like that. Right now, we are just trying to put together dates that we can get everybody to meet, and starting in September, gather input from the community on the ideas that they will meet throughout the fall, and come back with a recommendation to the board in January or February this year. So just starting that process, just wanna make sure people are aware of it.
Yes,
What's going on.
and just in case people don't know, the strategic plan refresh, I'm the board liaison, and then for our facility planning, it's going to be Scott Kelsey.
Okay.
Just so the public knows if they need to reach out to any of us, do not hesitate.
And thank you to everybody for strategic and facility who have done and will do all that work.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting to see everything. We do not have any policy reviews. And we do have a nice
A nice one.
donation.
Yes, so
And-
there's a $50,000 donation from the Lodi Primary School and Elementary OSC PTO. during their Strive for Pride to help pay for the playground out here at the elementary school. So you have a chance at the board meeting, you can walk out and see the brand new playground. It's all up and ready to go. They wanted to have it ready and playground worthy, and so kids could jump on it during the fair, because you kids probably would. So it was done, and the board set aside $100,000 referendum funds, and then the community fund raised the rest
Yeah.
to pay for that, so.
No, and thank you to
Stay
the
within budget.
community, and also thank you to, because we got our PTO back. We didn't
Yeah.
have it for a while, and so we appreciate those people that are part of that too, to get that going.
Yeah,
You
and
read the
Tessa
whole
Car-
thing, it's got their names right in there.
Yeah, Tessa Carls and Stephanie Gillett worked really hard on this, so we
Yeah.
really appreciate them.
It is with great gratitude I get to inform you that the Lodi Lodi Primary and LESOSC School PTO has donated $50,000 to help pay for the playground. Funds were raised as part of the Stride with Pride event. Special thanks goes out to Tessa Carls and Stephanie Jolies. Is that how you say that?
Jolets.
Jolts, for their work on this event and other numerous volunteers that helped make the event a success. Outpouring of support from the greater Lodi community is remarkable. Their continued generosity is truly appreciated and is not taken for granted. These funds help enhance the playground project and will impact students in the community for many years to come, for sure.
Are you gonna continue to
Yeah,
make that motion?
I move to approve the donation in the amount of $50,000 towards the LESOSC playground project.
I'll second.
Donation, wow, your donation, Adam. Motion by Adam, second by Sarah Ramish. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
We will take we're scheduling a date for us to take a picture with the PTO and some
Nice.
students and things like that up there.
And all of us going down the slide and
Them
stuff.
presenting a check. Yeah, and Heather going down the slide.
No, not all of us, just you.
No,
Yeah.
no, we're doing the
With the-
train.
with the
We're doing
camera.
the train done. Okay, our committee reports, CISA 5.
Has not met.
Okay, I didn't think so. And we don't have co-curricular,
Nope.
right? Nothing happened. Our OSC, have they met? Have they
Oh,
not?
you'll keep, I'm sorry, Terry's the OSC.
Oh, that's right. I
That's
always
what
do
she
that.
said.
I always do
I
that.
don't
Come on,
know.
Sarah.
I'm
No, I'm just
Sorry,
kidding.
I'm like, oh.
Changed.
We don't, the Sarahs don't know.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, obviously she's not here, but I don't know. I'm sure they're busy. I'm excited
They
for
were
them
sure
to
they
make
were
the
busy at the
lemonade.
fair
Yeah.
with the
It's at the
lemon,
fair,
I mean.
yep.
I did
that
have
can
lemonade
report
that is
'cause I
very,
saw
very
them,
good.
But,
Always good.
And then, our board committee reports, personnel has not met, curriculum, we went over, it was one of the, on
Yep.
the consent agenda.
Mhm.
And facility and finance has not met, and our policy has not met. We have been lazy this month. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't worry, we'll get you back on.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Fine.
Just looking at my-
Enjoy it while you have a chance.
So our future meetings is, our next regular school board meeting is Monday, August 11th at 5:30 with closed session, 6:30 at open. Our personnel is going to meet Tuesday, August 7th at 4:30. Our facility and finance will meet Tuesday, August 7th at 6. Our curriculum committee is going to meet Wednesday, August 27th at 4:30, and our policy committee will be Wednesday, August 27th at 6 p.m. And then we do not have to go back into closed.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right, motion to adjourn, motion by Sarah Ramish, second by Sarah Ripp. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Meeting is adjourned.